Hey Social 210 students, I wanted to record a quick video to go over the social norms template and just cover some of the most common mistakes that I found across all of my Social 210 classes, and then also go over some APA stuff to help you with your future assignments. So I wanted to first show a paper that was pretty close to what I was looking for. You can see here that there was a title page. I removed the student's name, but the name goes up here on the title page. The only thing that's missing is up here. There should be a running head, and it looks like this. The running head always includes this right here on the title page, and then also the page number should be, the page number should be over here. But that is really something that's more of a advanced kind of APA that I wouldn't necessarily expect everyone to get that right, especially on the first paper. You'll also notice that the chart is close to the chart that I had in my document that I gave. You can see there's 5 norms over here, 5 norms over here, and that is for 3 categories. I did point out that my instructions in the video were different than the instructions that I sent through email. So for this assignment, I accepted 3 norms for every social norm category, or 5 norms for 3 social norm categories. So if you did either one of those, then I accepted that. What I noticed for many students across all of my classes is that the citations for the social norms for your country were most often missing. And so you can see here that this student did what I gave in my example, which was put the citation for the norm at the end of the box. So for this section, she used the same source, which was Wines from 2008. Other students put it after each category, or sorry, not each category, each norm. And so you would see this or something similar to this at the end of each norm. So I accepted either format. So either here at the end of each norm, or at the end of the box. The only thing that's wrong here is that she or he included the author's first name, and so the correct citation would be that. Same thing for down here. And then finally for this one, take out that first name. So an in-text citation is just the author's last name and then the year of publication. Now for the APA list. So in APA, we call our reference list what MLA calls works cited. And so if I was doing MLA, I would have works cited up here. But this person did it correctly and labeled it references. So I'm going to go through and just make some corrections to the reference list. You can see here author last name and then the first initial. It looks like there was no date on this particular article, but I'm going to pull up, I'm going to pull up this website just to go through and dissect it and show you how I find information. So the citation is correct because here you see that the author is Alicia Prakish. I don't know how you'd say that. And then the article was from 2012, and November 19th was the actual date of publication. So that is something that is missing from this particular citation. So this should actually be 2000, get back and see when that was, 2012. And then it should be like that. Okay? If there is no specific date, then you would just include the year. When there is a specific date listed, you list it as that within the parentheses. Another thing that is missing from this citation is the title of the article. So this right here is the title of the article. The rules for eating with your hands in India, Africa, and the Middle East. So that would actually go right here. Alright, so you'll notice that I capitalized the first letter, and then all the other ones were lowercase except for India, Africa, and Middle East. Those are capitalized because they are proper nouns. So in your APA reference list, only the first word is capitalized, and then if there is a colon or a semicolon, then the first word after that is capitalized, and then proper nouns are capitalized. Everything else should be in lowercase. And then also the title is in italics. So this would actually be the proper citation format. I'm going to pull up a recent document that I made and sent out through email and show you where to find an example of this in that document that I sent. Down here at the bottom is a website. So the website, most common format is followed, and actually I made a little mistake over here when I typed it in. It should be November 19th. If I could type, that would be great, wouldn't it? So I'm going to basically look at the website. Anytime you use a website, for the most part, you can use this format. And so this example was almost correct. Let's look at this one. So now that I have this, I can go up here. And so this is what I do if a citation looks a little weird, or I'm not sure if it's correct, then I will go and look at your link. So here you can see Mark Wines, that is correct. And then I'm going to see where she or he got the date. So the date is usually at the top or the bottom of the article. So you can see I'm not seeing a recent, I'm not seeing a date on this. So this would be an example of something that I would probably list as no date, because I'm not seeing anywhere on this page that it was posted. I do see that there were comments, and if I click comments and go to the last one, I can see that this has been posted. Comments go all the way back 7 years. So there's no clear date. So that's where I would list it as no date. So this one would be N period D period. And then the title of this article is 17 African Cultural Values to Know Before You Travel to America. So I would then go back and type in 17. Actually, I'm just going to copy and paste down here so I can make sure that I get it right. 17 take this out, and then this should be in italics. So those were the things that were wrong with the APA for this particular assignment. However, you know, 5 points off, not a big deal. This is your first assignment. I don't expect it to be perfect. So this is an example of something that got, I believe, a 95. All right, looking at another example, let's go to this one. So once again, they had the running head and the page number. This is what it should look like. And then on the second page and every page after the title page, the word running head disappears, but the all caps part stays and your page stays. So this person clearly downloaded my template and just typed in their answers, and that is, you know, perfectly acceptable. Here, this person is an example of someone who put the citation at the end of every norm that they listed, which is fine. And they also cited where they got some of these norms for the U.S. And they did this for every single norm that they found across the board. And then they actually did it for more than was required, which was great. And then here, they just put the references in the links to the references is in the reference page. So that is where this would be incorrect. So here it looks like they did the author and the year. So I think they got, you know, the general idea that you use the author and the year for the first, for the in-text citations. But then these are all, would all need to be spelled out. So I'm going to do one just so I can kind of show you how I found, or how you would go about finding the information to put in a citation. So this is Etiquette Scholar, and so I'm going to look first for the author, which I believe they do not have authors for these. Nope. So I would put Etiquette Scholar would be the next thing that I would look at. Let me find. Okay, so Etiquette Scholar would be my author, and then I did not see a year, so I would do no date. The title, and some people would go back and forth about who the author could be. I could see that you could argue that Etiquette Scholar could be listed as the author. You could also sometimes argue that Yellowstone Publishing would be the author, but I typically use whoever is listed in, you know, at the top or in my in the URL. That typically is a way to find the author, or something that would be used in the author category. So I'm going to use Etiquette Scholar as the author, and then I'm going to use El Salvador Etiquette would be the title of the author. So I'm going to just put that over here. And then El Salvador is capitalized, Etiquette is not. And then this would be in italics. And then I would type retrieved from, and then the URL. So one thing about APA is that your references should be in hanging indent format. So how you do that is, and what I recommend is that you type out all of your references and then select them all, and then you right click and go to paragraph, and then in the indentation section you do hanging and then hit OK, and it will bump over every line except the first. And then also references are supposed to be double spaced. So this is what it would end up looking like. Let's do one more. Comisia Global is a very commonly used source for this project. So I'm going to go to this website, and it's saying it doesn't exist, which I know that it does. So let me see why it's saying that this does not exist. Let's see if this works. So, Comesio Global, once again, is up here in this corner. It's up here in the first part of the URL, which is typically where you find the authors. There are some students who use Comesio Global Consultancy Ltd 2017. This is their copyright information, so I personally have always used Comesio Global as the author. And then the El Salvador Guide would be the title of that particular article. So here, there is no current date on those articles. And then El Salvador Guide was the title of the article. That's in italics. And then retrieved from, and then the URL. And then once I'm finished typing in all of that, I'm going to go to paragraph, double space, and a hanging indent. And it will automatically do that for me. So that would need to be done for all of these resources in order for you to get full credit on upcoming assignments. All right. A couple more. Let's see. Here is another example of someone who, it looks like they once again used the template that I gave. It has your running head and your page number. And then down at the bottom after the first page, just the all caps title and the page number. This person did a couple of in-text citations, but then some of them didn't have that. So what I think I said in the video is that if you use the same source, then you can just put it all at the end. But technically, for APA format, every piece needs to have a citation. So I would need to have, since there are different citations in this box, I would need to have whatever you used after each one. But I did dock a little bit of points for that, not many, because it is the first assignment. And what I probably said is that you needed to have, every piece of information needs to have a citation, or one citation if it's all for that one at the bottom. And then each one needed to have 3 or 5, whichever information you use to do the assignment, whether it's my video or the email that I sent. And then they did somewhat of APA format. So what is missing from this is a title. And so my recommendation, I'm going to say go back to this particular page. Japan Guide they used as the author. And then Japanese Greeting is going to be the name of the article. And I believe that, based on what was in their paper, Japan Guide, so Japanese Greeting is actually going to go over here. And then Japan Guide is the author. This should be no date because there was not a clear date. Japanese Greeting is in italics, and then retrieve from, and then the URL. Here they have the date correct, or they have the name correct. I'm going to go and just double check since it seems that there were some issues with the date in the last one. I'm going to go back. So this is a blog post. So Kobe Jones blog. I'm not quite sure if this is, so it looks like this is a restaurant that has a blog that posts about Japanese etiquette. So this would be the title of the author. Let's see where they're getting that name from. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure. Let me see. Oh, okay, so they're using the Kobe Jones, which is the name of the restaurant. So the author actually is, this is a blog post. So if you go back to the example of a blog post, here this is the format for, technically for a blog post. So you could use that, although I'm not quite sure who the author would be. There's no clear author, because it's pretty clear if you go back to this website that the author is not listed. So if you were to take out this, then you would probably just go to the restaurant's webpage. So this is a tricky one. How I think it would need to be cited is probably I mean, this is kind of stretching it. 20, so I didn't see a date on there either. And then this would be a complete guide to Japanese etiquette. That would be italicized. And then I would correct the etiquette, the capitalizations. And then looking at the blog post, you would do weblog. This would actually be weblog comment. So you would say here, and then retrieved from. So you could do that. You could also do, this is the author. You could do this as the title, and then retrieved from, and then put the URL. So I could see how that could be either or. I'm not going to get this technical when it gets down to it. And then you can see, I mean, this person attempted to do APA format. Is it perfect? No, but I don't expect it to be on the first one. You know, I could go through and count off for each mistake if I wanted to. That's certainly what is going to be at the next level when you transfer to a 4-year. All of my teachers in my major would take off everything that I just corrected would be a point. I don't do that because this is a freshman level course, and I wouldn't expect freshmen to know this during their first or even second year. But by the time you get to your 3rd and 4th year, you're expected to know this, which is why I spend so much time pushing APA, because that is going to be something that you have to use at the next level. So this, once again, is probably, I think, a 90 or 95. There were a little bit more mistakes in this one than the others, but like I said, I don't expect it to be perfect. One of the biggest things that I can recommend for you to do is to download or print off this that I sent you. If you download it and save it, and then just put all of your future papers in it. This is standard APA format for the 6th edition. You can use this for any paper that you have to write APA, and it should be correct. This, of course, is just what I wanted you to see a paper might look like, with in-text citations and different types of sources worked into your paper. Also, how to paraphrase and how to directly quote, I talk about here. And then at the end, what a reference page should look like. And then I would just keep these as a reference to know that, like, your different sources that you're going to use, whether it's a journal article, a news article, or a website, these are pretty standard formats. And all you need to do is go find the information to plug in to these, into these formats. All right, well, hopefully this was helpful for you, and if you have any questions, please send me an email. Otherwise, for chapters, the next 2 chapter assignments for your project and your final presentation, I expect that there be APA in-text citations, APA reference pages, and if those are not used in upcoming assignments, then that's where you're going to start getting a 0. For those of you who did not use APA format or who did not include citations or reference page, you got a 1 on this assignment with hopefully you'll go and look at the comments to get what you need to do to fix that. Yeah, so any questions, please send me an email. Otherwise, I will hopefully see some corrections and some improvements in your next assignment.